Welcome to the Wednesday night podcast for the SC Hub. My name is Munster Mash. Joining me tonight is the SC Cheese and Mr. Charity. How's it going?
Good, mate. Feeling fresh.
Not too bad. Ready for a new week.
Fantastic. So, first things first. How did you guys go this week? It was a bit of a doozy for those if you managed to dodge those hundreds like I did. So we'll start with you, Mr. Charity. How'd you go?
I got 1,013. Okay, not the greatest, considering I was sort of taking this one on the chin because I was pretty well set up for 13. I'm pretty well set up for 16. 17, I might be in a little bit of trouble, but not crazy. So I was willing to cop this one on the chin, but after seeing my friend who knows nothing about NRL have about 6 players over 100, it's really hurt my motivation moving forward. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. What about yourself, Cheese?
Yeah, bit of the opposite. I've been preparing more for the mini buy rounds, for the major buy rounds, and still could not have expected a wrist shot ton. And for all my guns to go absolute terrible. It was 10 of my players scoring 50 or less, and Latrell VC that saved my week. So 10-51, red arrows, but yeah, go. I'll thank Latrell, and if he can keep that up, we'll be happy.
Yes, no doubt we will dive into talking about a certain Mr. Mitchell and the Bunnies fullback and his origin prospects as well in this. I personally got a 10-15. My team was allergic to 100s and all the players that got them. It's one of those weeks you cop it on the chin and we've just got to move forward. So with that, basically, let's talk a bit about what's happened in the hub this week and basically what's happening in the NRL. So first things first, we'll start with the NRL news. One of everybody's former favourite cheapies from the Knights, David Armstrong, looks like he might be off to the Super League pretty quickly, it seems. That is a backflip from what we've seen of DCE proportions after re-signing with the Knights as of last week. It is what it is, I guess, for all of us that still have him. We'll talk about who we need to trade him to this week. The other really big NRL news looks like it's Kapoa. He's immediately joining the Panthers. So that would be interesting for, maybe some of the buy rounds and sort of what's happening over the next few weeks while they have a few players out.
Yeah, interesting one.
We have had a few. Yeah, we've had a few big results in the SC Hub this week. So the top scorer in the SC Hub overall competition was 1476 from the White and Supremacists.
Wow.
Interesting team name there. But the big one from he's in one of my leagues as well is from DT. He scored a 14-10, coached by Tim. That's actually pushed him up to 41st overall. So he's flying. So good for him. Long may it continue. And then Latino, who is somebody we're talking about every week, he's in 4th overall. He got a 13-45. So he's consolidated himself up there. Hopefully for both of those guys, they continue the push and, bring it home at the end of the year.
Crazy.
Now, well done, guys. Anyway, let's dive into the Supercoach side of things. That's what we're here to talk about. So we've talked about it. I'm sure it's the thing that's on everybody's minds. These cheapies, what the hell are we going to do with them? It's David Armstrong, Blaze Talangi, and All right, we'll start with Armstrong, though. What do you guys think? I mean, for me, obvious trade.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few different options that you can go to there, depending on who you've got in your team. For around similar prices, you can look at your Dallin Watene-Zelezniaks, who I recently brought in a couple of weeks ago and has been scoring great for me, which is awesome. You've got Mulatalo as another option. I've always been too scared to do Mulatalo because I'm afraid of his 9s that he occasionally scores, but getting him in at around that 400, 500K mark is almost a steal and really boosts up my CTW. So that's something that I'm looking at doing. But there's a few really, really good options. Even Timoko is a little bit more expensive, but is a great option over this buy period. So a lot of really cool options to go with. It's just we're very grateful that Armstrong is still up at that price that allows you to convert into one of these fallen guns.
Yeah. What do you think, Cheese? Have you got David Armstrong?
I do unfortunately have David Armstrong. I wish I could trade him out this week, but I have to hold him just due to some injury drama. But yeah, if I was trading him, I think DWZ is definitely the first target on my list. Last week, he looked good, and that's without SJ. So him coming back in the team is only going to help. Ronaldo, like Charlie said, he can have those really low scores in his game. Bit better than what we're used to. I want to wait a week if I didn't have Ronaldo though, just because Hines and Trindle first time back in I think 5 to 6 weeks. So want to see how that plays out. But I think DWZ is the big front runner to get rid of Armstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like both of those guys for trade-ins. They do seem, I guess, the most obvious choices, particularly like Ronnie, obviously. The Sharks have got probably the best run home from here out of any team, or very, very close to it anyway. I think he is someone that you'd be happy if you brought him in now, and assuming he goes back to his early season form, you'd hold him for the rest of the year. Like he's the perfect guy as, like, say, your fifth CTW that you could swing in for matchups and things like that.
Especially with Trindle back in the team. That's when we saw him scoring his best points. So it almost aligns perfectly with his return to his bottom price. The more we're talking about it, the more I'm like about to go and do this trade now. So thanks, guys.
As someone who has Ronaldo, I'm happy seeing Hines come back in too, because less teams are going to focus on Trindle, and he'll just open up the left side way more now. We'll see Ronaldo pick up a couple of tries.
Done. Trade sorted.
Yeah, it's a really, really good move. Now, look, and the fact that you'd be doubling up as well with Iro in those strong matchups is, for most super coaches anyway, I think that's just, it's just fantastic. Now, I'm going to throw you another name at you guys to see what you think. As somebody that's a bit more expensive, but will help over the next few rounds, Euan Aitken.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm just worried about his pricing being too much, like too high based on what we've seen typically out of him. He's been looking fantastic this year and a really good plug and play player, but we've also, had the likes of Lemu Elu in that position who has taken that. So there's a few variables for me. Another one that's similar price, before Cheese go into your sort of thoughts on Aitken, I was looking at was Tungo. I can't believe how cheap Tungo is. So that's another one that's potentially available there. See in future matchups if he's up against any back rowers, but something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Aitken. Look, for that price, I don't know if I'd want to slot him into the CTW. Could definitely get him in this week and then look to move him up to your 2RF. That's where I think you really get the value for him, because he's not going to come out and score you a 90 to 100 like you would want a CTW that you're playing on matchups. But if you slot him in there, you're looking at 50 to 60, which coming up in a few minor buy rounds and the major buy rounds especially, you're going to want that in your 2RF.
Yeah,
good point.
No, one of the reasons why I'm looking at him in particular, his lowest score all year has been 50, and that was in round 2 against the Dragons. Since then, he hasn't scored under 60 since round 7. So I think, even if you don't necessarily want him in CTW, I definitely think you'll want him in second row, because he does also play 16 and 19. So it's just for me that perfect player to have, say, for the next 5-6 weeks, possibly even as like 2RF 5 or 4 for the run home, just for that bit of depth. The duel I think is super handy, and yeah, I think at some point over the next couple of weeks, I think he's somebody that should be really high on your trade lists. Now, we did mention the other cheapie before that everyone is looking to trade out, or at least is on the radar of trading out over the next week or two, and that's Blaise Talangi. He looks to have got the right wing spot for the Eels now. What do you think about him in that position, and what are your plans if you've still got him? We'll start with you, Cheese.
Yeah, with Blaise has probably been my biggest mistake, trading him out, picking Gagai over Blaise back in round 12. Biggest mistake I've made. But that right wing position, to me, it's an upside because it's a starting spot. And if you're a Blaise holder, that's what you want. His break even still relatively low. He can still obtain it quite easily. I wouldn't be trading him out this week, but he's definitely someone I'd be looking at for week after, just purely because doesn't play that round 16 and he's not a keeper to me. You know, you want to offload him to someone who's going to be there come round 27, you know, whether that's a fallen gun and you bank the cash and use it elsewhere, or you do, you know, spend up and maybe get a Kiraz or someone who's got that job security and can still get you some good points come later rounds.
Yeah, what do you think, Mr. Charity?
Yeah, no, I think some very, very good points brought up there, Cheese. I think for me, it's one of those definite holds. He's not playing round 16, if I'm remembering correctly. So that's probably when you're looking to trade him out, especially if the Eels don't go big against the Roosters, which I'm hoping they do, but expecting them not to. You're probably going to see Blaise score, you know, a 10 or a 20 or something like that. It'd almost be better him coming off the bench out of impact, essentially. But, you know, me saying that, he could come out and score 120. He seems to be a really good finisher, just a very poor defender in first grade so far, and that's to be expected. He's young, right? But yeah, that round 16, free up the extra cash and just go straight to a gun or a fallen gun, a Timoko, a Dallin, a Mulatalo, whoever it is, right? And then you're really bolstering up your CTW. He's done what he needed to do, earn the cash, and that's it.
Yeah, I really like a Talangi to Mulatalo trade next round because we'll have a bit more like of an idea about what Ronnie's role is and how the Sharks are going to function again with Trindle back in the team. And then, it just will be great from then on forwards for Ronnie. I think that's like a perfect upgrade. Now, as a slight detour, we have been asked by one of our favorites here at the SC Hub for a tier list of facial hair between the three of us. I think that's a pretty straightforward one for me. I'm a distant third, and I think you guys are about equal first. So I think that's pretty clear.
Oh, come on.
Hang on, I need to clarify. I haven't shaved this in a week, just so you know. That's what I'm up to. So factor that into your tier lists, ladies and gentlemen watching at home. I've got the mustache to carry me, but that's also been growing for about 3 years, and that's what I've got. It doesn't grow in the middle. It's just,
The Munster special.
Yeah, exactly. Cheese is clear. Yep, that clear first.
I'll take that. Take that.
We've got him in S or A tier,
thank you.
and then us sitting in C.
Yeah, thank you for that realm. Anyway, back to the Supercoach chat. So one of the big things that we're also looking at is that with a lot of teams, we've been talking about CTWs now, they might be looking at fullbacks, and that's a very hot topic this week. On the back of Latrell's monster score, fullbacks are, I guess, a hot topic. We've also seen Drinkwater be heavily traded out this week. So if you guys are looking at fullbacks, say somebody's had an IRO at fullback over the last little bit and is looking to shift things around. So they're going to trade out, say, an Armstrong, maybe grab a fullback. Who would you guys be targeting? Like, who do you think is the way to go? Now, we'll assume that Latrell is going to get selected for Origin. I think after his performance on the weekend, I think he is a sure thing to be left center. That's my opinion. What do you guys think?
Who for the fullback spot, or who for to bring in as a CTW cheapie to afford one of the gun fullbacks?
No, we'll start with fullbacks first, and then we can talk about some other CT dubs later. So, yeah, if you've got, we'll say we've got unlimited funds at the moment, which fullbacks are you targeting for, say, this week, next week, over the next few rounds? What do you think, Charity?
I mean, I genuinely like. I've got a fullback rotation of Drinky and Chance, and although the others haven't been scoring as they haven't been scoring as well as some of the other big guns, there's too much uncertainty around selections. Your Teddies, your Trells, your Edwards, what's going to happen in that Origin frame, who's going to be brought in where, all of that stuff, it's too confusing. You've got Drinky and Chance that I've had, and I traded Chance in when Ponga went down, and that's the only fullback trades I've made this year. And it's just been one less headache I've had to deal with. And I feel like they're pretty safe, consistent scorers. You could look at something like a Gutho, but I don't think it's, especially with where Para's at right now. There's too many good options. I would definitely say if you don't have Drinky or Chance, they're a safer bet for me. But I know a lot of people are trading out Drinky, which I can't understand. I know he hasn't scored too well, but it's just there's so much certainty around his position.
Yeah, what do you think, Cheese? Like, which fullback would you be targeting if that's a spot you need to target? I mean, maybe it is.
Definitely was. I unfortunately was someone who traded in Walsh for week of Origin because I near the fullback said we'll get him in and we'll just take the hits through the buys. Didn't pan out. So yeah, has not been good in fullback. Too many trades for my liking. To me, it depends on what you need, what your team needs. You know, if you have the trades there, you know, that's great. You can bring in someone safe to then offload them later. You know, whether that may be to an Edwards, a Walsh, whoever it may be. I think Charge is hands down who, you know, the safest option is. Won't be playing Origin. The Wars are looking good again. And Charge is someone who he's not a hard watch like Latrell will score you points, but it's a hard watch, you know. Drinkwater, he's a hard watch because you don't know if you're going to get 50 or 100 with him. Charge, you get the best of both worlds. He's safe. He's got a good ceiling on him. And he's definitely not going to play Origin, you know. We love his accent. For me, I've gone a little more riskier. I've taken Teddy. I just can't. I reckon if Madge does not pick Edwards for game 2, he gets sacked. So going Teddy, having him for a ride home, and I'm just praying for Roosters keep being the best attacking team in the comp.
So when Teddy gets selected for game 2, what are you going to do?
I will be deleting my account. That's what I'll be doing. Yeah. I've already had nightmares about it.
Yeah,
Don't make me have any more, please.
I like both of those shouts. Like for me, Chance is, I think is the clear number one. I think you've got the safety there. Looking at, I guess, the rest of the year as well, there's a few fullbacks that are injured and will be coming back. And we'll say there's no real certainty on that. Yes, they're definitely going to be back at a certain round. So with that, like I think, Chance, you could almost lock in as like your safe fullback for the rest of the year. And then maybe have a bit of a gamble on your second one. So say, for example, when Pappenhausen's back, if you want to like roll the dice, you could have a go there as your second fullback and then have Chance to kind of give you that safety net. Another thing with Chance in his favor is that it does look like he's going to play more games compared to the other fullbacks for the rest of the year. So if you do kind of want to hold him, he's going to at least play one more game than most of the other fullbacks who still have. Most of them are in teams that'll have a couple of buys, whereas the Warriors have only got the one left. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good for Chance. The other one that I like as a little bit of a pod-ish, if you don't have him, is Ruben Garrick. I think with him having the duels, he's a great person that you could bring in as a fullback and then maybe swing later on back into CTW and bring in a different fullback after Origin or something similar. I really like him as well. And Manly have got a pretty decent draw over the next few weeks and play 16-19.
See, for me, I pick players based on.
Do you guys have Garrick or?
Yeah. I've got Garrick. I pick players into my team based on. I watched the game. They did nothing and they scored 80, and that's been Garrick for the last couple of weeks. It's been ridiculous. I'm watching him miss kicks, barely touch the ball, and I'm going, oh god, this is gonna suck. And then the game is over, and he's on 79, 80, 93, 102 points, and I'm like, how did this happen? Hammer is very similar to that. Hammer barely does anything, has his worst game ever, and scores you a 76. And you're like, where did that come from? So those are the kind of players I want to put in my team. So if you see any of those players and you notice any of those players, get them in, because obviously Supercoach headquarters have them in their team. So
yeah, the way Garrick is scoring points is just it's insane.
Yeah, it definitely is. Now, one of the top trade-ins this week is Latrell, who we've just mentioned. What do you guys think about people trading in Latrell? Like, I personally don't like it because I think he's going to be missing a bunch of games because I think he's getting selected for Origin. Like, do you guys think he'll be selected for Origin?
Yeah, I think he needs to be. I mean, if New South Wales want to win, you pick Latrell at left center. You know, he needs to be there. It's, to me, again, if you're trading Latrell, you've got fit coverage there for when he's not playing, because he's definitely one you're going to want in the end, because I've had Latrell since he's come back from suspension, and it's been tough to watch him. But I know that if I don't watch a game, I'm going to turn on Supercoach and it's going to be 65, 70 points guaranteed. So he's a very safe play, but you need to have that coverage there if you're trading him in.
Yeah. No, completely agree. I think if he's selected for Origin, he's going to miss 16, 17. 17 of the Bunnies have the bye, and then 19 again if he's selected for game 3 as well, which you've got to think he probably will be if he's selected for 2. So, you've got to keep that in mind, that out of the next 4 rounds after this one, he's missing 3 games. And, like, is he a trade out if that's the case? It's just crazy. I don't understand it personally. I think I'd almost even rather hold like a Drinky for an extra week just to get a bit more clarity. Look, if Latrell's not picked, sure, he's when he first traded in 16, like without a doubt. But I'd rather just wait and see.
Yeah. I can't understand the Drinky trade.
We've started talking about it. It's on the radar. Yeah. Round 16 and 19. It's what we're going to be thinking about over the next few weeks. So I want to cover a little bit about the teams that are going to be playing both of these rounds. There's 5 teams that do so, and I think there's a few decent options from all of these teams. Some not so good options, but we'll cover that. So the teams that play both of these games are the Dolphins, the Rabbitohs, the Tigers, and Manly. Now, some of these teams do have buys in and around this period. For example, the Dolphins have the buy in 18. A bunch of the teams have the buy on 17. The Tigers, though, don't have a buy until round 26. So they're going to cover you for a while yet. So we'll start with the Tigers. Somebody that is unfortunately not playing for us this week, but has been rock solid for the last little while, is Lockie Galvin. What do you guys think about his injury? Are you going to hold? What's the plan with Galvin over the next few weeks? What do you think, Charity?
I'm dealing with this dilemma right now where I'm like, do I trade him or don't I? Right? He's at a very nice price, like 550k, if I'm remembering correctly, which is decent for a 200k player that we bought at the start of the season, who's been knocking out 50s and 60s for us. What tantalizes me, if you will, is the fact that Cody Walker is around that same price. I'm looking at that, drooling, going, if I can get a Cody Walker in, that would be delicious. Like, I love that. Potentially even, looking at the likes of, I know people have hated him, and if Realm's still here, he's going to kick me. But, Luke Brooks, he's around that 400, 500K. I've had him all season, and he scored a 68 against the Panthers last week, which helped me a lot. That's for sure. Especially with Manly only having a buy in round 17. There's some really good options around there. I don't want to trade him because I want to hold on to him. But if anyone was looking to trade him out, there's a few really solid options in and around that price range. Even Max Plath, if you haven't got him, he's been scoring so well for me. I've got Max Plath and Galvin, so I've got a little bit of flexibility in that position. And there's Nashville.
Oh, I think we've lost him.
What about you, Cheese? Who you going to with Galvin if you've got him?
Yeah, same dilemma. I've had Galvin since the start of the season, and just you've never needed to trade him out. Whether you think he's topped out now, it's a different point because you've got it's about 40k to Cody Walker.
Yeah,
and you look at the way Walker's been playing, Trell's been playing, and just for Rabbits as a whole, these last 2 rounds, they're looking like the Rabbits we know from last year, where they can put the points on, and that's all you need from Cody Walker.
Yeah,
I'm holding Galvin for this week, so I've traded in Plath, but I've got him in 2RF for now, just so that way, whatever happens next week, it's an easy move out. But if I'm a Lockie Galvin owner, and I'm wanting someone who I'll have to the end of the season, I'm looking at Cody Walker, -5 break even. Worst case scenario, he makes you 40k in the next couple of weeks, and then you reassess. Best case scenario, Rabbits are red hot form, and he's scoring you 70, 80 every game.
Yeah, if he wasn't versing the Broncos this week off the back of a disappointing loss, he'd almost be straight in for me. But
absolutely,
it's tough. Monster Mash, you back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry, a few internet troubles there, but we're sorted. All good. Anyway, with Galvin, Cody Walker is very, very tempting, isn't he? Like, it's almost nothing to jump across. But look, it's Cody Walker. We know what he's like with his scoring. He's had a couple of games recently where it's like 50 points with a try. I don't know if I can do that to myself. It's
ready to be hurt again.
It's really, really tough. I've got enough coverage. I think I've got enough coverage with Hughes and Dillbags at the moment, but I'm going to probably have to make a move. Possibly, if everything goes well, maybe to Nico next week. I think that could be good.
Yeah, probably within the next week or two, you could go Nico if Nico's been dropped.
Origin or not.
Yeah. I mean, that's the good. That's the only thing with Galvin, isn't it? We just don't know what the extent of the injury is. He's out this week, plays 16, 19, but is he going to be there for 16? And how's that whole going to work?
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. I'm happy to wait a week and just reassess because, there's too much up in the air at the moment. What do you think though with Nico? Do you think he'll get picked for Origin 2? What are you thinking is going to happen in that regard? And I mean, look, there's a lot of people trading him out as well this week with his monster break even. What do you, I guess, like, how do you guys see the Nico situation at the moment? Charity?
I actually wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked again. I think Madge is going to be actually very gung-ho on, not gung-ho, the opposite of gung-ho, very much stuck to, this is the plan I had, this is what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead with it. And for that reason, I think there may even be a chance that Trell doesn't get selected. I hope he does, because I just think he's too damaging not to. But I have a feeling that Madge is going to play that way. He's going to keep Hines. He's going to pick like Burton or maybe even like a Bradman Best. And that's what we're going to see. So it's a tough one. I'm going to hold Hines just because I need to save trades. And even though his break even's 208, he's a season hold, right? So save myself 2 trades and just leave him in my team.
Yeah, I think for those that have him, that's the sensible move, is just, hold the trades, because any benefit that you gain now is probably nothing compared to what 2 trades will give you in like round 27 potentially. We've seen it over the last few years of these massive swings when you've got trades at the end of the year. What do you think, Cheese? What do you like? Have you got Nico still? Have you traded him out? How do you see the situation?
So yeah, I've still got Nico. Look, if you have the trades there, you could easily go Nico down to Jerome Hughes for a couple weeks, and then easily just keep the money there, go straight back up, pending how things go. I think if you got the trade there, that's the move to do. You've saved yourself whether he gets picked for Origin, because right now, Madge could literally flip a coin between him and Moses, and he'll go for whatever it lands on. There's really no difference between them in that arena right now. So, look, it's a 208 break even. You're only losing money if you sell him. If you hold him, you're not losing the money. So, to me, he's a season hold. His numbers do go down when Trindle is in the team, but in saying that, he's still scoring a 75 to an 85. When he's not touching the ball like he used to. I'll take that. I'll happily take that. There's, Jerome Hughes is great, but I'm not riding Jerome Hughes to the end and then take him in 50s, 60s when I could get a Nico 70 to a 120 when he's active. So yeah, and again, Sharks have the softest draw. Dolphins tomorrow night at PointsBet, and it's just, you don't know whether Nico's going to get you an 80. You don't know if he's getting you 140. He's not a person I want to watch through my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, his B's 208. If he somehow knocked that out, would we really be surprised? Like, we know he's capable.
Imagine, Jesus.
I'm there tomorrow night. I'll be cheering.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's I think it's one of those things that, I mean, Hughes for me, I think, is probably the only logical trade if you have to move on Nico. Like, he's the only sort of, I guess, like other halfback that's really showing form that we know will offer some decent buy coverage at the moment. Don't really like a lot of the other options. Like, I mean, even SJ, I'm not sold on at the moment, even with the Warriors sort of coming good. Just not sure. If I had Hines, I'd hold, but I had to trade him last week because I needed the cash for other moves. But anyway, so we've talked about some of the players. We'll talk about some other options from these teams that are playing 16 and 19. As I mentioned, I liked Aiken, Jeremy Marshall King. We all know about. Do you guys like anybody else the Dolphins, or are there even any other players from these teams that, like, that play both rounds that you guys like?
From a Dolphins perspective, I mean, I've had a sneaky look at Avarillo, but I'm not confident in that. It seems like his score is going to sway way too much, so nothing that I'm super keen on. I think Osako is always an interesting one, but he just hasn't been scoring like he used to, so there's just a bit too many uncertainties around the Dolphins. I'm happy with my Max Plath, and I think he's the only Dolphin I have currently, so I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Jeremy Marshall-King is one that excites me, but I'm running a Grant Brayley, so they're covering enough for me.
You, Cheese?
Yeah, look, aside from Plath and Aikens, there's no one jumping out to me. Plath is just someone 16, 19. You can just pop into your 5'8" or even second row and just know you're getting a decent score. And same with Aiken. You're not expecting hundreds for him, but you'll get consistency and some decent points. But there's really no one else from that team unless you can get JMK in, as a second hooker. That is probably the big move I would make if I had the opportunity. But aside from them three, there's really no one else.
Yeah. All right. Now, Bunnies, Tigers, Titans, Manly. Anybody from those teams that jumps out, and I'm not talking about Luke Brooks.
All right, Cheese, your turn.
I'm out. I had Brooks. No. Look, I mean, there's definitely a few, ones that I think have flown on the radar that coming up to this 16-19 could definitely be worth a shout. I mean, I wasn't going near anyone in the Titans besides David Fifita this year, and this week my eyes have slowly drifted towards a Brian Kelly. I mean, it's just you feel dirty looking at anyone else besides David Fifita, and you feel like you're cheating on him. But I mean, Brian Kelly just seems to find a way to either get a try or a try assist, and at times even get goal kicking. So if you're needing someone to just slot in for 16-19 and you go, yep, I'm getting rid of him come round 20, I think Brian Kelly's a pretty decent shout.
I have a very interesting one that I think a lot of people are going to go, yuck, that's disgusting. What are you talking about? But I've got a little bit of data behind this. I think I could be wrong here. In the comments, call me out if I'm wrong about this. But Jack Whiten for the Bunnies, right? Since he's moved to 5'8", he had a game where he scored, and let me just get this up. I think it was 60 in round 11. I'm pretty sure he was playing 5'8" at that point. The round 12 one, if my memory serves me correctly, he scored a 29, but he was injured, right? And that's when Trell moved to 5'8", right? I'm thinking that's the one where Cody was out, then Whiten got injured, someone else got injured, and they had Cook playing at fullback and Trell at 6. It was just all over the place. And then last week he comes out and he scores, 81 or 80? Yeah, 81. Him getting more involvement in the game with the Bunnies' improved form, I'm genuinely looking at this as a 449K player. I think the price was. That's actually a really, really exciting play, and potentially even an Armstrong or a Talangi move. And you just have Whiten as a CTW 5 or 6, and you play him based on matchup. I'm keen on it. I'm very, very keen. Don't know if you can tell from my voice.
Not at all.
Yeah, no. With the Jack Whiten shout, I personally really like it.
Yes.
So we've seen. I'll read out some numbers. Even in so that game that you talk about where he was injured, he got a 29. That was in 43 minutes, and he still had a 19 base. Other than that, his lowest basing game is like mid-20s. So for half W, that's not too bad. You got to think he's probably going to get a few tackle busts, maybe the odd try assists here and there. I think he's probably good for a 50 to 60 average.
Oh God, the trade.
It feels
I
disgusting.
really like
looking at Jack
White.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
it
I-
definitely
I'm
does.
looking at
And you've got to
someone-
think, is he going to get in stats when Latrell's out?
Interesting.
Who else have they got?
Latrell likes throwing that final pass. It might be Whiten instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Who's goal kicking?
For the actual fullback role, probably Gagai. But Gagai for the fullback spot, but I'm not sure on goal kicking.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Maybe-
I think White
maybe
is.
Johnson's a
I
fullback as
really
well,
like it.
isn't he?
I'm looking at him as well.
Johnston's my dirty secret I've been looking at and just constantly going, can I do it? You know, I mean, definitely wouldn't be this week, but it could be under 400k come next week.
Yeah.
Like it's Alex Johnston. He's on pace to get the try scoring record here. Like, if Rabbits hit some form, he could be on. The only thing is your man Jack Whiten does not like to pass. He'll take it himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. You've heard it here first. Jack White is the key to all of your woes over the bye period.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
I can't.
On that note, we'll go to other teams. Now, we know with the Tigers, the only real player that I think most of us would be looking at will be Finu. I think he's one that most would be. I think he's the only other real Tiger.
Coruscant maybe, but
Even then, hot
Yeah.
and cold.
I don't mind the Coruscant shot. Yeah. Do we like Coruscant at halfback?
God, I don't know.
I could pick up a sneaky try assist, but
Yeah.
aside from that, base goes out the window.
Yeah, that's about it.
Anybody else that you really like from, I guess, these teams that are playing both? There's nobody that jumps out for me. All the good players I think are getting either picked Origin or injured.
I think maybe there's a certain Manly 5'8" that we could probably talk about. I think might be a sneaky buy over this period, especially with Cherry Evans out, might take more responsibility. I think it's worth a shout.
Yeah, I'm not sure who you could be talking about, Mr. Charity. I'm not sure.
That's all right. We'll move on to the next topic. It's fine. It's fine.
Look. All right. I think that just about covers it for our chat. We'll answer some questions for the I guess the watchers or the listeners or whatever it is. What am I doing? Wrong banner. Question time. Now, we had a few pop up in the Discord earlier today, so I'll read a couple out and we'll see what you think. So I've got one here. It's pretty simple. DWZ or Mulatalo? Who do you think? Who would you buy?
DWZ.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
Next.
Nice and easy.
Even though I just traded in Mulatalo, DWZ is just so much safer, just such a better buy over someone like a Mulatalo who can score you that 120, but can also score you a 9. I feel dirty about making the trade, but I'm like, it's 400k. I'll see you later.
It's a good type of dirty.
Yeah. It's like a halal snack pack at 3 a.m.
Yes. Not as good, but
Mulatalo.
we're getting there.
So,
It can be hit or miss.
yeah, I'd go Mulatalo purely because of the strikes draw home. All right, next question. Is Nothing Joe Chan to Martin Silly if it only pockets 90k? Would you look at Nuffs at the moment?
Not yet.
What do you think,
no.
Cheese?
I am looking at enough for within 2 weeks. Definitely not Joe Chanvo. I'm looking at Liam Henry instead, just because I think past round 16, he's pretty much useless to me. Joe Chan there's just not enough cash there to nuff him. I think he just needs to die at second round 6.
Yeah. It's just he's turning into an AE nightmare for those who have him still.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd probably look to either trade up before Nothing instead. That's where I would go. I'd look for somebody to upgrade to. All right. Another question that we've got through was about Latrell. If he is picked for Origin, would you still think he would be worth trading in at all? Only if you've got the depth there?
Yeah, no. Not even with depth. There's so many more people you could go to that play over that period that will get you the points. If you've got him, maybe you can hold if you've got the depth, but I definitely wouldn't be trading him in. Like next week, if he doesn't get selected for game 2, then you go, you know what, maybe he's worth the trade. But like he's had one good score against the Titans where they put on a lot of points. He's been scoring pretty well since he's come back from injury, but not at that level that's making you go, you know what, it's worth that risk right now, especially against the Broncos coming off a loss. Not for me, but if someone wants to take a little bit more risk, then yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have the depth there and say you have a chance that's going to be playing week in, week out, sure, go for it. But if you've got someone who's missing a bye round, even a minor bye round, I just don't think it's worth it. It's probably going to come back to bite you.
Yeah. All right. Time for the actual difficult questions, I think. So this one is a bit of a doozy and there's a bit to it. Do we think that Val could be a sell next week? He misses 16 and 19, potentially more due to backing up from Origin or not. His next 2 games after this week will be Panthers and Bulldogs, which are 2 of the best defenses in the comp. What do you think? I mean, and by extension, I think this also kind of covers Drinky as well, when we sort of look at the draw, but he doesn't have, obviously, he's not going to be missing games due to Origin. So, I guess sort of how do you view these sort of the Cowboys and how they're going to go over the next few weeks? Charity?
Cowboys have always performed well during this period in recent years. Granted, I say always, it's been the last year and a bit. But they performed well. They've done okay. I don't like the Holmes trade out because you're going to want to have someone like a Holmes in your team later. So again, if you have the trades, sure, you can trade him out to then trade him back in later, hoping that he doesn't earn extra cash. I held him all last year up until Origin and then said, you know what, I'm going to trade him, and then went on to score 120, 120, 110, 108. And just it hurt me. It hurt my soul because I held on faith for too long. I think you'll probably be in a similar position where you're going to sell him. He may not be playing as many games for you, but he's going to come out, score big. He's going to be out of your price range. You're not going to be able to get him back in. I can understand why you would do it, but I just think focus more on depth in your CTW so that you can have that depth to come in and play for him when he's off.
What do you think, Cheese? What are you thinking with Val Holmes?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking he was a trade out, more so when it came to round 13. But, we're coming towards the later stages. We're midways with the buys. Okay, we know he's going to miss a couple more games, but when he is back, Bulldogs, Sharks, up at Queensland, and then he goes into the Tigers. I think those are 3 games you're not going to want to not have him because, let's be real. If Cowboys want to really, get into finals, it's going to start come round 19, come round 20. Round 20 is when they need to go on a big streak, and they're going to need to use Val a lot more, And I have past nightmares of trading him out during Origin period. He comes back for 1 game, and he goes insane. I don't want another low max situation. I'm keeping him, and at worst, his worst score is so far a 49. So I'm looking at that, and I've got a Greg Marzio in my team who's got a 25 for me last week. So I'm taking a 49 as his worst score every day of a week because I know he can go and hit a 136 or 144.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that even though they've been so hot and cold all year, the Cowboys have enough good games where you'll want to have him for the rest of the year. You'll want him back in for sure. So the only way I would even consider it is if you've somehow got like heaps and heaps of trades. Like most people will be sub 20 after this week at least, if not lower. So unless you're somehow, swimming in trades, I wouldn't do it. If you are, I could see the logic, but you're going to want him back in. So for me, I wouldn't do it because I just don't have enough trades. It's that simple. I can't throw 2 trades on getting him out and then getting him back in. So, not for me. And that's also why I kind of want to hold Drinky for the next few weeks because I'm going to wait and I only really want to spend maybe 1 or 2 more trades at most in fullback for the rest of the year. So, things are too tight. So, I can't do it myself. All right. And then this one that we'll finish on, and it's a bit of more of an overall sort of question rather than anything focused on this week. And that is how many, players, well, it says here how many guns, mid-depth, and nuffs are you looking for the run home? So I'll cover what I'm looking at first because I'm a serial overplaner. So I've kind of figured out probably what I want. And I'm thinking I'd probably want at least at a minimum 21 to 22 players. Like we've seen it over the last couple of years that there are way too many restings at the end of the year that you want that as a minimum. And even then I'd potentially want like a few duels in there. There's only a couple of like nuffs that I would want. And that's like front row forward 4, maybe second row 6. I really like the 2 main ones. Maybe CTW 7, but that would be more. I'd rather have a mid or a depth person there rather than enough. I'm probably only really be comfortable with 2 nuffs, and that would be it. To be honest, what are you thinking, Charity? Would you aim for about that as well?
Yeah, I'm similar to you. I would have 1 dual position nuff in front row forward. So front row forward and 2 RF. I would have a 2 RF nuff that I can jump in and play, but also one that may potentially be a chance of playing in that, like towards the end of the season where they have those mass restings, where it's just an extra number that can get on the field for me. Because we've been burnt by that last year and in previous years. As well, but last year was pretty shocking for it. And then CTW, I tend to have enough there as well. This year, I have a feeling that people are going to also be nuffing hooker. So, you may just run, for me, I've got Grant and Brayley. You may just trade Brayley down to a Summerton or something like that, who's going to come in, in that last week for Panthers. And yeah, just use that extra cash to upgrade elsewhere and get a gun like a Fafita or whatever. My team right now is absolutely filled to the brim with mids. The M in my middle name is actually mid. So yeah, it's a very, very mid team, but it plods along and gets the job done. So yeah, that's my structure. What about you, Cheese?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of gone a bit different this year. Usually I attack for buys, but I've gone, start strong, finish strong. That's what I've wanted, and scrape through the buys.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at nothing front row forward 4. I think we've got a prime candidate with Liam Henry there, depending
100%.
just when you want to, get rid of him. 2 RF, yeah, 2 RF6 is where I'm looking at nothing. I don't know if I could nuff a hooker. I would like to, but having Appy just at round 26, I don't know who I would really want to go to and who I'd have the cash for at that stage. So just 2 nuffs for me going into the back. And like you said, Charity, I would rather have a 2 RF who has a chance of probably getting picked, because we'll likely see a mass resting again.
Yeah.
Regarding, guns, I've got I have Angus. I need to work back into the team around round 20. And then there's also a decent player named Nathan Cleary, who, depending on how his legs go, is trying to find a spot for him and find the cash there. So 2 nuffs, but possibly 3, depending on how Cleary's situation's looking.
Yeah.
If you are looking at nothing out a hooker, I would definitely recommend looking
That's
for...
fantastic. I think we'll call it there, though. So thank you.
Sorry. If you are looking at nothing out of hooker, I would definitely recommend you go for someone that doesn't have a buy for the rest of that year. So round 19 or round 20 is the last buy for that team of the year. So something like a Reed Marnie. I'm pretty sure the Bulldogs don't have a buy for the rest of the year after round 19, if memory serves me correctly. So teams like that, if they've got a decent hooker that you can stand having for the rest of the year, nuff out hooker and have one of those there. But if you've got someone like an Appy where they're going to have a buy towards the end of the year when you're going to be out of trades and struggling to make a team, that's what you got to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
Yeah, cool. So, we'll call it there. Thank you for joining me, guys. Anybody watching, I apologize for what has been a few technical issues with the internet, unfortunately, but that's all good. So if you're not in the Discord, jump in. It's a fantastic place to chat Supercoach. Mr. Charity runs his Thursday team reviews and questions. So that's always a lot of fun. That's pretty much it. Good luck with your super coaches this week, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.